School uniforms actually hold some benefits, but you guys aren't ready to have that conversation yet. Hi, my name is Sonia Campos, and today I'll be explaining to you as to why the United States should actually implement school uniforms in all schools across the United States. The first point being about it increasing students' learning, the second point being that it promotes safety, and the third point being that it would actually help hold a bonding environment for all students. Now, I know the thought of wearing school uniforms sounds so taboo and so plain and so boring, but actually hear me out. I mean, from personal experience, I've actually had to wear a school uniform before at one point. I remember having to wear khaki colored pants and then a light blue colored polo. And the only design on there was the school's logo. And this was back when I lived in Indio, very, very long time ago, I think in 4th grade. So it was a good 10, 11, or 12 years. I don't even remember, but I do remember wearing school uniforms. And personally, I didn't really think too much of it because as far as I can remember, it's not like I was searching every morning to see what kind of outfit I was going to wear. It was just simple. I already had my clothes there set for me. I didn't really have to waste much time trying to figure out what I should wear. But now on to my first point. School uniforms actually promote more student learning because when you walk into school, obviously if you're wearing your Doc Martens, your ripped jeans, and you're wearing your chains and you're wearing a band t-shirt, people are going to say something to you about it. They're going to ask you where you got those shoes. They're going to ask you what your favorite song is from the band. They're going to ask you a whole bunch of things. And some of them are going to be good things and some of them are going to be bad things. But point being is that people are going to be noticing what you're wearing and they're going to ask questions. Now, according to smartassets.com, they've actually showed a 10% increase in students learning once schools' uniforms were implemented. And this study was done by Dr. Richard Garfield. And so when he did this study, he found out that there actually wasn't really much to talk about when it came to school uniforms because, again, they're plain. And therefore, students had nothing else to talk about but other than what was going on in class. So even though it's not much of a difference, every little thing counts. Eventually, it's all going to become normal, and all they're going to do is talk about what happened in class. They're not going to be focusing about what so-and-so was wearing that day. They're not going to focus on where they can buy that same outfit. They're not going to focus on any of that. They're going to end up focusing on what they learned in class that day, and they're going to be asking questions about it, and therefore spark them to be thinking. Now to my next point about promoting safety, which actually is a really big one and probably the most well-known reason as to why school uniforms are beneficial, because when it comes to neighborhoods where there's gang territories, you don't want students showing up to school wearing their so-and-so or so-called colors because that looks bad. According to the website weareteachers.com, many teachers have commented and said that they prefer students wearing school uniforms to keep their students safe from them getting involved in gangs, from bringing violence to the school, because the school should be a learning environment. It shouldn't be a place for students to go and bring violence on, because you're there to learn, you're there to get an education, you're there to move on, which is what is a really big reason as to why a lot of schools already have implemented school uniforms, is because they want to keep their students safe. They don't want their students getting involved in a lot of these crimes, and it actually drops the crime rate by 5%, as mentioned by procon.org. Which also brings me to my last point. It creates a bonding environment for the students, because again, when you walk in with your plain colored polo shirt and your khaki pants or skirt, you pretty much are all on the same level playing field. Which also why, as shown in statistics, that most private school students actually tend to be closer to each other, and they tend to be have more of a bond with each other than students who go to a public school where school uniforms aren't implemented. Because once you're on the same level playing ground as all the other students, it kind of creates the opportunity to kind of have them get to know you and them not judge you by the way you dress. Because I know that, for example, in the 1990s, it was really taboo to dress very gothic, because if you dress gothic, then you were seen as a Satanist, you were seen as a mentally ill person, you were seen as someone really dangerous, and people didn't really want to talk to you because they were scared because of the way that you appeared. But Obviously, that's not the case. You should always get to know somebody before you go ahead and judge them. So once all these students are on the same level playing field, they can't really judge a book by its cover. They actually have to get and talk to these students and actually get to know them, which is something that I think is very neat, because I feel like in today's society that students need to really bond like that, because, you know, you're going to be in school together for like the next 12 years. You might as well really get to know each other, you know? And again, like when you walk in with like a shirt from a band or a favorite movie or TV show or book related, if someone sees that and they don't like that book or that artist, they're automatically going to judge you before even getting to wanting to get to know you, you know? And therefore also goes back into my first point about it increasing students' learning activity, because when you have nothing to say about it, whether it be a good or bad thing, you're most likely going to focus on school. So now in conclusion, this is why I think we should implement school uniforms. I know it seems very taboo, and I know students like to be free and expressive of themselves, but there are other ways that students can express themselves, such as in their backpack, such as like in their school writing, just the little things. Like I remember seeing when One Direction was big, there was One Direction hair clips. And you can go ahead and find necklaces, you can find jewelry, you can find stuff to still express yourself. I think even then it's pretty cool actually. Like you meet somebody, you have that first expression of them, and you don't really know what they're into until you talk to them. And then when you see that, you're kind of like, oh, okay, that makes a lot more sense. I wouldn't expected you to be like that, but that's actually pretty cool. I don't know. I think that's a pretty cool way to like introduce yourself and be on the same level playing field as people. And again, the big thing being safety, because you're going to school to learn, you're going to school to get your education. You don't want to have to worry about what's going to happen between these groups of people, and you're not focused on that. You're focused on yourself, and you're focused on getting your education. And again, it is a little bit taboo, but